Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 51 of Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. I'm Kimberly, your host, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. Did You Bring the Hummus is a podcast to help you go vegan. This season, I'm sharing new episodes every Monday discussing all things vegan. Most importantly, we'll talk about how to embrace this meaningful decision with fervor and fun. Episodes post every Monday on your favorite podcast app. Before we get started, I have one very important question for you. Did you bring the hummus? Today, I am joined by author Rae Starr. Rae is a multi-award-winning author of vegan fiction. Her debut novels, Earthlings and Dominion, books 1 and 2 of a vegan fantasy trilogy, are Amazon bestsellers, and the final installment, Land of Hope and Glory, is eagerly awaited by readers. When Rae isn't writing, she's happiest spending time with her family and friends, exploring nature with her children and 2 rescue dogs, Phoenix and Freya, and teaching writing for nature workshops at schools and community groups. A firm believer of magic, Rae can often be found stargazing under the moon with a tarot deck in one hand and a strong cuppa in the other. Rae's books are published on recycled paper where possible, and she plants 1 tree per book sale via Ecologi. It's Rae's dream to one day open the Peridot Animal Sanctuary and Wildlife Reserve in England, and that dream inspired Rae to close her business of 15 years and pursue a writing career. Hey, Rae, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Kimberly. I've been looking forward to chatting with you for ages. We have so much in common. This is just going to be 2 girlfriends having a natter. My
Yeah,
favorite
I'm
kind of
super.
podcast.
Mine too. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. As we always do, though, I'd love to start with you sharing your vegan journey. Tell us how it all began.
Oh gosh. It's always quite hard, this one, to explain how it all began, because I'm sure it's the same for other people as well. It wasn't any one thing. I mean, there was a catalyst. I mean, sadly, I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer in 2017, and that was kind of the first stepping stone. But then there was so many other moments that happened that then enabled me to kind of go on this journey, which I'm so grateful for. It's been life-changing in so many different ways. But when Dad was diagnosed, the first thing that the doctor said to him, I wasn't aware at the time that it was terminal. I was one of those people that was aware my dad had cancer, but I did not contemplate for a moment that he was going to die. It was just like, yeah, Dad's got cancer. But he's going to be fine. I didn't know that he wasn't going to be fine. He did. They gave him 3 months.
Mm.
But they said to him, if you want to live longer, but to enable your chances of living longer, you need to immediately cut out all red meats, dairy, eggs, and alcohol. But the term veganism wasn't used with him. So all we kind of had in our mind was all the things that he couldn't have, rather than focusing on some of the things that he could have that maybe, I mean, he was never going to survive it. Unfortunately, he had pancreatic cancer. So it was what it was. But he could have, his end of life could have been such less painful for him than what it was, if he'd been having all the delicious foods that I have now that I am vegan, your lentils and your beans and your peas, which sounds so boring and so unappetizing. Why people think, no, I'm not going vegan. But when you eat it, it's absolutely delicious. And the
Mm-hmm.
health benefits are insane. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of the start for me. And I just stumbled across Veganuary. I did that in 2018. And then that was what kind of opened my eyes to the ethical side of it, the animal side of. I received the emails with various links to different documentaries, and I watched Earthlings, and that was it for me. Basically, I had a year plan to go vegan, and then I watched that documentary, and that was it. I was vegan. You can't watch that and not go vegan. It's
Exactly.
one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, the vegan maker.
pretty much. Yeah. If there was a way to get the entire world to watch that movie, this world would be such a better place.
Mm-hmm.
We need to
Absolutely.
gate crash the TV station somehow and just get it broadcasting on all channels.
There's
Um,
got to be someone who knows how to do
I
that.
know, where's all the hackers at?
What are they waiting for?
I know. Oh,
The stories we all have, we all end up in the same place, right? We're all here, we're vegan,
mm,
for ethical reasons. Those of us who are, I mean, we all end up in the same place, and but our journey here is so different.
Mm, definitely.
And yeah.
I've not met any person that has had people have had similar journeys, but everyone has got so many kind of different reasons or different life experiences that they went through. But I've not met a single person that's had the journey and then wished that they hadn't. Like everyone that I'm aware of anyway, their life has got better from going vegan. Mine certainly has as well. So it's just life-changing in such an amazing way, and just the connection that you get afterwards with just so many different things, not even just with animals, like with just nature in general. I mean, my mornings start with, my little boys when we walk to school. We stop on the pavement and make sure we pick up any worms that we see on the concrete and
Oh.
pop them in the grass. Little things like that I wouldn't even thought of before I was vegan. I'd have probably
Mhm.
been one of the people that accidentally trod on them and didn't think anything of it, you know?
Mhm.
It just opens your mind to so many things.
Mhm. It's
Mm,
it, yeah. As a child, I had it's funny because thinking about the journey, there's always all these little moments when you look back and you see like, "Oh, I was on this path. I just needed that
mm,
thing that was going to get me to make that final choice to go vegan." But as
mm,
a child, I used to drive my family crazy with, like, "We should take care of the environment and pick up garbage and
mm,
don't litter and stop running the water while you brush your teeth and don't take long showers," and, all of these little things that I was learning about in school, and thought like I'm going to make a big difference in the environment, and I loved animals, and I had asked my mom when I was like 10 about the like what we were eating. And my
mm,
mom's vegan now, but she wasn't then. And she was like, this is this that's why they're here. It's okay. Like we're supposed to eat them. And so many people feel that way. But
mm,
I even when she said that, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, all right, my mom's the authority. I guess she knows the right answer to this." And even though it didn't sit well with me, I just kinda didn't question it again until later, um, when I was finally, like, faced with things that made me start to make that change. But I don't even know where I'm going with this. I guess I was just thinking about the journey and the seeds that we were planting even with ourselves, where we finally hit a point and we look back, and we're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I was always meant to be this way," and I feel so truly myself since having gone
yeah.
vegan.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's one of those
Yeah.
things you feel like you're always meant to. Like prime example, how many people say they love animals
Mhm.
and then eat them? I
Yeah.
did for 30,
Yep.
30 years of my life. If I saw someone hurt an animal, I'd jump in front of them and take whatever pain it was for them to save them. I'd do anything for an animal, but then I'd go home and I'd eat them and I just wouldn't think anything of it.
Mhm.
The disconnect is absolutely insane. But then I think that's why it's really important to be understanding with people that aren't on a vegan journey yet and that are still eating animals and things, because unless you were born vegan or vegan from a very young age, at some point we were all there too as well. There can be a
Mhm.
little bit of a them and us scenario within veganism, which I understand, because when you've seen what happens to the animals and the awful side behind it, it is so hard to switch off from that. And when especially if it's someone you care about, if you know there's a loved one in your life that is still contributing towards that, and excuse me, they do care about animals, it's hard not to think in your head like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. But I was doing that for 30 years, so I can't allow myself to think like that. I think it's so important just to raise awareness of the truth and just hope, like you say, plant those seeds as early on as possible so that people don't have to go through life and then have that moment where they think, oh, I wish I'd done this earlier. Because I think that's something that every vegan says is, I wish I'd found this sooner. And
Yep.
it's just a case of not knowing the truth of what's going on. It just needs to be more readily available information, but in
Mhm.
a way where people are open to receiving it. I've got lots of friends where on social media, I'd shared certain things for various animal charities. And, it's not nice. I don't want to watch it either. But you just think, if I share this and someone sees this, maybe they'll stop eating that animal. But sometimes it has the complete opposite effect. That person then won't want to see whatever you're sharing on social media because it upsets them. And so they unfollow from your feed or whatever it is. So I just think it's really important to raise awareness of everything that's going on, but in lots of different ways, because there's so many different ways that can reach different people and of different age groups as well. Do you know what I mean?
I do, absolutely. When I think about when I first went vegetarian, so that was 2001. I was living at home, so the only thing that really made me not vegan was that I was still eating dairy and eggs, and that is huge, but, like,
Uh-huh.
because I was living at home and I had, disposable income and, like, 0 responsibility in my early 20s, I had, like, all this money, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna eat, animal flesh anymore, so I don't want to wear leather, and I'm gonna replace all the products I use and all my handbags," and I mean, I'm not like a shoe and handbag person, but I had enough where, like,
Me
I
neither.
gave them I gave them away, and then I was able to buy, like, vegan versions of all of those things. So, in my head, because I hadn't connected just how much cruelty is involved in dairy and eggs, I was thinking that I am making, like, this huge contribution, and so I was so smug, and, like, I was 20, 21 years old at this point, but I was, like, so preachy and like shouting from the rooftops, "Why is no one else doing this?" I didn't know anyone else who was vegetarian or vegan, and
Mm.
I was, like, so obnoxious. People would offer me food, like, not realizing or not remembering that I was vegetarian, and I'd be like, "I don't eat anything with a face," or, "I don't eat anything that had a mother," and and just, like,
Which is a
really
brilliant
just
response. It's the truth.
is
I
the
get
truth,
it, but
yeah.
yeah.
But, oh my
Oh,
goodness, was I a dick. And
we've
and,
all had one of those moments.
right.
We've all been the dreaded preachy vegan. If we're all completely honest with each other, we've all had that moment. But it's just hard not to. But then afterwards, you do look back and just kind of cringe because you
Yeah,
just think, I'm not perfect. I've still made mistakes or I've done this, that, and that. But it is just when you know what's happening, you can't help it. You just want to
yeah.
scream from the rooftops about it because you just want it to stop. That's the reality
Mhm.
of it, isn't it? When you
Yes.
know what's happening, you want to do whatever you can to help them and to stop it from happening. And the
Mhm.
biggest way to do that is to let people know what is happening. But the
Right.
resistance you meet with that sometimes because people don't believe it or they don't want to know or all the stuff. And it's just it's a challenge, isn't it? But I'm up for this challenge.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna
That's
save as
right.
many animals as we can.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And, I'm glad, honestly, that I got it out of my system so early because I feel like now I am that vegan that you were talking about who remembers that I ate animals too. And
Yeah.
there was a point where I didn't know or where I kind of closed off what I knew so that I could not think about it while I was
Mm.
eating and not feel bad. And I think a lot of people do that too. They're like, I know what's going on. I've heard, I've seen the videos here and there, but like that's not everywhere. And they tell themselves that and they convince themselves that they can't possibly be eating animals from these horrific environments. So they're like, "It's okay, like, what I'm doing isn't that bad." And it's like that cognitive dissonance, and so now, like, I don't share graphic videos, not really, occasionally I will, but for the most part, I don't, and I really
Mhm.
just I wanna have a conversation, I wanna talk to people, I want them to
Yeah.
ask me questions. I don't just, like I mean, everybody knows I'm vegan, and, uh and if they ask me questions, I'll be honest with them. I'm not gonna ever shy away if they ask me, "Well, what is wrong with dairy? I thought they don't kill the cows." Then we're gonna
Mm.
have a real conversation about what's wrong with dairy. And if they're upset by the fact that I was honest with them, that's on them because they asked me the question. That's
Yeah,
my
well, I think
that's my thought.
yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it though, because when people have those emotions, that's because of how they feel about what that's not a reaction to you, even though it feels like it at that time. That's a
Mhm.
reaction to themselves because of the truth of what's happening.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does.
Like I remember being in that situation myself. My friend that I used to work with, she was vegetarian from a really young age. I remember she said to me once, "Teen, you absolutely love animals, but you should go vegetarian." I remember saying to her, like, "Oh no, I don't think I could do it. I love meat too much." I was that person.
Hmm.
And I hate that. I hate that. Now that I know all the stuff, like I absolutely hate that. But that gives me compassion towards people that are in that situation that use that as an excuse, because I was that person once as well. And again, I just think it's just so important just to raise awareness for everything in so many different ways, because all of these different paths will affect someone. There's
Hmm.
no like right way. Like activists on the street that you walk past, I now that I'm vegan, I would stop and I'd have that conversation, and I'd want to see what it was they were sharing. But me from 10 years ago, I'd have crossed the street and gone the other way.
Mm,
So
yeah.
there's all these different ways of activism that we can do, from podcasts such as what you're doing yourself to street activism, or there's so many different things. I mean, I think the documentaries are quite possibly the most impactful way. Um, when you ask people like, "Oh, why did you go vegan?" I find like 70% or more did go vegan off the back of watching the documentary,
Hmm.
myself included. Like I say, I had the plan. I had a year plan, so I was going to. I know it's ridiculous, isn't it? That year plan literally turned into 24 hours after Earthlings. That was it, zip done. But my year plan, because I genuinely enjoyed eating these foods so much, and I didn't know all the animal stuff then, was the first 3 months I'd cut out meat. And 3 months later, I would cut out eggs, then dairy, and then lastly fish, because fish was the thing I was going to miss the most. But then, like I say, I just watched one of those documentaries and I didn't need a year plan anymore. I was just like, oh,
Mm,
I wish I'd seen this 10 years ago. And then that
yeah.
was that. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just really grateful. I had this journey before I had children, so
Mm,
that I'm getting to raise my children vegan, which I'm really, really, really blessed to have been able to do, because I would hate if I was in a situation where I was raising my children to eat what I used to eat, and then I went vegan and they didn't want to, or they
hmm.
didn't like these foods, and that would just be a worst case scenario for me. I don't know how I'd cope with that. So I'm very lucky that everything happened at the time in my life when it did. But do
Yeah.
I wish it happened earlier? Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a great point. I always knew that if I had kids, and I don't, and now I'm at the point where there's no plan to have kids, but I always knew that even when I was vegetarian, I was in a very serious relationship when I went vegetarian, and we were like on the path to getting married. We didn't, but we were on that path, and I remember telling him, "Well, if we have kids, they're going to be vegetarian." And he was not okay with that. And then eventually he was like, "Okay, fine, but they definitely have to still eat cheese. Like I'll let them not eat meat when you're
You've
not
got to have some
around.
cheese.
But yeah, and they've
What's
got
that
to
about?
experience
That's so
cheese."
random. Yeah, that's so
I
random.
know.
Never heard that before. That's excellent. That needs to be a sticker on someone's car or something. You
Yeah.
gotta have cheese. Oh,
And I mean, thankfully that relationship didn't work out. And then from there on, anytime I met like a new partner, I was already vegetarian, and like not only was I like, if we, go all the way and we have kids and stuff, like they're going to be vegetarian, but I never made animal products for them. I wouldn't cook any kind of meat or
mhm,
anything for them, and I set
mhm,
that right from the start. And so I feel very lucky that way, that, when I met JP, who is now my husband,
mhm,
I told him from the start, and he wasn't vegetarian or vegan or even interested in it at that point. I told him, like, I don't cook animal products. Like, that's just not going to happen. And he was
Mm.
fine with it. And if we ever have kids, like I want them to be vegetarian. And then I went vegan, and he was like, okay, if we're gonna have kids, they can be vegan. And as long as we make sure they're healthy, because he still wasn't on my on the same wavelength as me. And he didn't realize like being vegan can and is healthy. He was still hearing
Healthier.
all those, yeah, he was still hearing all those people about
Um,
protein, blah, blah, blah.
yes.
Yeah. But
Mm.
yeah, so now I'm lucky enough to also be married to a vegan, because JP went vegan
Oh,
like
wow.
2 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. No, 2019. Yeah, that's way more than 2 years ago.
Oh no, that's lovely. That's a really nice like home environment to have. So
Yeah.
in my life, it's just me and my children. So
Mm.
none of my friends are vegan, none of my family's vegan. My children's father, he's not vegan. So I've got dogs. Who It's really funny when people say to me, do you have pets? I'm like, no. I have family. I get annoyed when people
Yeah.
call them pets. That's how vegan I am now. I'm like, no, I don't have pets.
Yep.
I have animal companions. But no, they're my four-legged brother and sister. But I had them with a previous partner, so we have them on rotation. So I have them 1 week, he has them the other, because neither of us want to not have them.
Oh,
They're family. They're family. They're not
yeah.
pets. They're family.
I
But
love it.
it was really, really hard when I went vegan, because obviously my dogs weren't vegan, and
Hmm.
I wanted to feed them vegan, and my ex is definitely not vegan, and did was going back. I got to sample some amazing vegan dog food through a magazine that I write for. And I remember I uploaded them eating it on Instagram, and straight away he was on the phone. What are they eating that for? And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking they always eat vegan with me. I've just not told you. And yeah, so deary me. But yeah, I'm glad I've not had to have that situation with the children. So
Hmm.
my boys are Iron Illusion. Their dad's not vegan, but he's very supportive and has no issue with them being vegan. But I'm very aware that if I'm not about, he probably gives them chocolate buttons and things. And I know if my children have got
Oh.
without going into too much detail, but slightly different toileting habits, I know they've had something that I wouldn't give them. So
Mm.
yeah, there's all telltale signs. But like you say, like from the health aspect, like I don't know about you, but I'm the healthiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It is.
Mm.
It's so much better, just all around in all ways.
Yeah, it really, really is. And like, it's one of those things though, because when I first started, I was worried that I wasn't going to get everything that I needed, because it is just drained into you so strongly that you need meat, eggs, and dairy. Like you physically need that. And you don't realize until you experience it and you cut it out just how much better you feel, like how much
Mhm.
lighter, how much better you sleep if you don't have children. I haven't slept since I've had children,
I
but
bet.
dear me, just short hours here and there. But yeah, so if someone asks me like what's a con, what's the bad thing about going vegan? The only bad thing that I could genuinely come back with is certain people's responses to going vegan. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I've ever struggled with is, the digs and the comments, or when you're aware that you've said something a bit preachy and you've wound someone up, and that side of things.
Mhm.
But other than that, individually, there's nothing that I could say like, oh no, I struggled with that, or I miss that food. Like I don't even miss the foods that I used to have anymore. It's just, yeah, it's bizarre. Good
Yeah.
bizarre.
It's like it becomes you don't even think of it as food anymore, because you see
Yeah.
that, they're pieces of beings who had an
Mm,
interest in living and
yeah.
didn't want to be killed. And it
Mm,
completely takes any thought that this is a delicious food completely out of your head. At least
yeah,
that's how it
definitely.
happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah. You see the creature behind it. This is something that I think, again, that doesn't help us as a vegan community when we talk about animals. We have this habit of referring to animals as sentient beings.
Mhm.
And of course, they are sentient beings. I understand why people say that. But no one would see an animal and think, oh, that's such a cute sentient being. I think it's phrases like that that alienate people from us.
Mm,
I think
yeah.
there's certain terminologies and things that we use that non-vegans would hear and then just totally
Mm,
switch off from. So, but work-wise for me, for example, I I try not to use the V word. So when I teach at schools and things, sometimes I do like writing classes, that they're vegan writing classes. I don't say that they're writing for nature classes, because then lots
mm.
of schools want to book me. If I say I teach vegan writing classes, I can guarantee you I probably wouldn't teach them, because no one would book it. Like the V word does have that kind of stigma with people that haven't experienced it, which is such a shame, because it is a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just, oh, it's crazy, isn't it? It is absolutely crazy. It's good crazy and mad crazy. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then there was, a whole and maybe it's still ongoing. I guess I've kind of taken myself out of these, types of groups, but, people who are um, really trying to be like super healthy vegans and they
Mm,
don't they don't want to call themselves vegan anymore. They want to call themselves plant-based because
mm,
they don't want to be associated with junk food vegans because somehow junk food vegans are evil. And then it's just like that phrase, I think, plant-based. For some
mm.
people it does feel more accessible because they're thinking like, okay, it's vegetables and it's not like this whole thing um but I think it starts to get confusing because then there are people who consider themselves plant-based because most of their meals are, let's say, 80% plants and then 20% animal products. When it's weighed like that, they're like, technically, it is based in plants. So it becomes like the words are
Confusing.
so, yeah. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always use the word vegan, but thankfully where I'm at right now, and I can see how in your situation with classes like that yeah, schools probably would be like, well, we can't be forcing your views down the children's throats, so we can't hire somebody who's
Well,
teaching vegan classes. But
yeah, yeah.
but thankfully for me,
Huh,
like, I don't have to find a way around that, and I'm so thankful, um
huh.
so thankful for that because I don't even know what I would say. But yes, you are a writer. Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
I'm such a geek. I love reading and I love writing. It's my
Me
thing.
too.
It's my thing.
I love
Um,
it.
it just makes me happy going into other worlds. So it's just, yeah, love it.
So
Absolutely love it.
you have a trilogy. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, cool. Well, where do I begin with that? When I went vegan and I learned all the animal stuff, going vegan for me wasn't enough. I wanted to do more.
Mm,
Like, I just saw those documentaries and what happened, and I wanted to save them all. And the realization that I couldn't, that really, really hit me hard,
mhm.
because to want to be able to help and feel powerless and unable to help, that's a heavy feeling.
Yeah.
And it really, really hit me hard, and I thought, well, no, I'm not settling for that. I'm going to do something. I just didn't know what I was going to do. So this is where I became the hashtag preachy vegan, because I started off with a blog, and I was experiencing a vegan pregnancy at the time. So it was like happy, healthy, sharing recipes, and how a plant powered pregnancy, I referred to it at the time, a plant powered pregnancy,
Love
all the
it.
benefits from it, because all the various things that you associate with being pregnant, or the negative sides, or the swelling, and like the achy ankles and all the stuff. I didn't get any of that. I was, again, I'm just so
Wow.
blessed I found this when I did. Like, both I would love to be pregnant again. I don't know if I want any more children, but I loved being pregnant. It was a breeze. It was absolutely lovely. And I think that's because of the foods that I was eating. I downloaded Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, and it was just, yeah, it was plain sailing for me. I was really lucky. But my blog, it didn't really achieve anything. I had a few people try my recipes and really enjoy them, but that was kind of it. And
Mm,
then when I started sharing all the animal based things, I just met a real kind of resistance, like what I mentioned earlier, where people either weren't interested, or they started unfollowing, and it just,
Mm.
the only people that were actually watching it were people that were already vegan. And in my head I was thinking, well, that's great, but obviously I want to try and help people that aren't vegan, that love animals, want to help animals as well. So I thought, what am I going to do? And that was when I had the idea of writing a story. The business I had in the time, I had a PR agency for 15 years, and a big part of the agency was writing, so press releases, and I used to do like freelance journalism for various tabloids here in the UK, and like women's glossy mags and things like that. But I'd always written just to make money. It was
Mm.
just part of the job. I've never written about something and felt really passionate about it. And I thought, okay, we're gonna write some kind of story. And by the end of it, they're gonna understand what it feels like to be in an animal's paw prints. That was the kind of purpose of the books that I've written. I want people
Mm.
to read the story because they they're interested in the fictional side of it. So it's a magic-based story. It's a fantasy world. It's the story of a young girl named Peridot, and she's magic born, but she doesn't know she's magic born. She's got this really overprotective mother who kind of shields her away from the realities of the world. Because in the world she lives in, she thinks it's as me and you know now, but it's not. It's in reverse. And rather than humans being in charge, animals are,
Mm.
and everything that happens to animals in day-to-day life is currently happening to us. We're the milking mothers, we're the steak, we're the legs, we're the chop,
Mm.
we're all the various other things. And she has to decide whether to use her powers to help. And if she does help, who should she help? And why should she help? And how can she help? And those are the kind of questions I want the readers to be asking themselves as well. But I
Mm.
had to write it in a way where it wasn't really, really heavy vegan, because then I knew, again, only vegans were going to want to read it. And my target audience was really, really broad. I want anyone of any kind of age to be able to pick up my books and think, yeah, magic fantasies, it's going to be great fun. And then by the end of it, think, oh, I might not buy that for dinner tonight.
Mm.
You know, that was the kind of the idea behind it. And I'm really lucky, and it's selling quite well. I managed to closed my old non-vegan business, and now I'm vegan in my personal and in my work life. So I'm feeling very blessed and very happy.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been hard. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't kind of happen overnight, and it was a really daunting thing, like closing my business to write stories that there's a huge potential and nobody's going to want to read. Like, do I do this or do I don't? But sometimes you just have to kind of believe in yourself and go all in, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to. So I did all the manifestations and all, lots of various rituals and things, did a lot of talking to the sun and the moon, and
Mhm.
feet deep in the earth. I hugged a lot of trees, and they heard and they helped. They did their beautiful tree thing, and I think that might actually be why there's a tree on the front cover of the books. But yeah, we're slowly making it out into the world, and yeah, I'm excited to see what other kind of vegan stories I can come up with next to get out there.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to
Oh,
see
thank
what you
you.
come up with next. Yeah. So
um,
the title of each of the books in the trilogy, Earthlings, Dominion, and the last one is escaping me.
it's Land of Hope and Glory, the
Land of
last one.
Land of Hope and Glory. So those are all also titles of documentaries.
Yeah,
What
had
made
to be
you
done.
what made you choose to do it that way?
The Earthlings effect. I just
Mm.
thought, what's the quickest way for me to try and get the message out there? And I just thought, well, if someone's looking up my book, and obviously I'm never going to be as big as Earthlings, the documentary. That's always going to come up first. So people will search for my book, the documentary will come up first. They'll see it's narrated by Joaquin Phoenix and think, oh, I wonder what that is. Click on it. They might watch it. And then, hey ho, they're vegan. They've not even read my book. Sneaky, sneaky. But was the kind of original idea, but I do hope people read my book as well. Um, but yeah, I had to name the books after the documentaries that really did have the kind of instant effect of showing me what really happens in the world, because it's not even about making people vegan, like, because that sounds like a, a forceful thing to do. I want to make people go vegan. I don't want to make people go vegan. I want people to be aware of what's happening in the world. I want people to know the truth of what happens to animals. I want people to know just for a moment what life would be like to be in a farmed animals perspective, not even farmed animals, just animals in general. Wild animals have got it just as hard as the farmed ones at the moment. So
Mhm.
I just want to help animals. That's all I want to do. I just want to help animals. And I'm not rich. I'd love to open an animal sanctuary. That's the end kind of goal for me, but that's going to take a lot of money that I don't unfortunately have at the moment. And I thought I could write a story and name them after animal rights documentaries. And if people aren't feeling the story, they might stumble across the documentary and it might happen that way. So that was the kind of idea there.
I love it. Yeah.
Thank
What,
you.
yeah, what a great idea. I've seen 5 minutes of Earthlings. I came across it after I had already gone vegetarian.
Mm.
But yeah, I made it about 5 minutes, and
It's so
I've
hard to watch.
never finished it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It took me over 10. No, if I'm honest, it probably took me about 20 attempts to watch the whole thing.
Mhm.
It's sorry, this is now becoming such a depressing conversation,
No,
isn't it? Sorry, but it's
not at all. No.
brutal. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it's what happens. It's
Right.
it's not lies, it's not staged, it's not acted out. It's just undercover, not even undercover footage. It's just footage of what happens. Once you've
Hmm.
seen that, you just want everyone else to know, but without scarring them for life,
Right.
especially
Yeah.
when it comes to children. So
Hmm.
that's why I teach the classes that I teach, because as I mentioned earlier, it can be done in a way where people are open to receiving it, where they don't think, oh my God, no, I don't want to see that. Why are you showing me that?
Right.
People read books because they want to turn that page. They want to know what happens next. And if you've
Mhm.
got a story where people are invested in the characters and they care about what's happening because they're enjoying it, they're excited, they're, oh, that's magic. Although all those kind of feelings, you can still get the message across to people, but without upsetting them,
Mhm.
because it's never our intention. It's not to upset people. It's just end goal of trying to show people the truth.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think, there are some of us who there there will be someone who hears this episode and they just need to hear what we're saying about these documentaries and what we're alluding to and what happens to animals in the food industry. And that will be
Mm,
enough for them to go, okay, let me figure out how to live differently. But then
mm,
there are others, right, who need to see the video. So they will go and pull up Earthlings because they'll be
mm.
like, these women are crazy. What are they talking about? There's
What are they
no way
talking on
that's
about?
happening. Yeah.
It can't be that bad. Well,
Right.
I've not heard anyone that's said that yet, but I mean, oh, but having said that, I'm one of those people where, like, if someone's watching a horror movie, I'm hiding behind a pillow. Like, I can't handle a horror movie either. So maybe it's not that bad. I don't know. It'd be
No, it is.
interesting to hear. Well, you know, oh, we're
So
not
so
selling it to people. No one's going to want to watch this now, are they?
that's
This isn't
true.
working.
Yeah. It
Oh,
is well done and beautiful, and Joaquin Phoenix is amazing. Uh,
mm,
and it's
very much
honest,
so.
it's
Yeah, it's
honest.
endearing. It's brutal, but it's endearing. You do want to know what happens. It's very cleverly done, and it's only so hard to watch because again, you see the truth, and
Mhm.
sometimes the truth hurts. So
Yeah. Yeah.
once you know, and that's when you can make the changes, and then those awful things don't have to happen anymore. If enough of
Right.
us change, those things can stop.
Yeah. There's power in that knowledge. So
Totally.
we
Mm,
learn and we can make choices for ourselves and
mm,
know how we feel inside and what is meaningful to us and take that information and figure out how to go about living life in the best way that we possibly can.
mm.
Yeah. So you've got the trilogy, but you also have a couple of new books coming out soon, right? Is it this
I
year? You've got some
do.
children's books coming out?
I'm hoping it's this year, but there's a
Okay.
chance it's going to be next year. So it's with a different publisher, and things haven't been signed and stuff yet. So I don't want to not to jinx myself. I don't believe
Ah,
in that, but
okay.
it's definitely happening. I just don't have a set date yet. But it's the adventures of Enviro Boy and Enviro Girl, and it's where I've got children. I'd love to read my children my books, but they're 4 and 2. They're too young for it. And
Mhm.
I just wanted some stories that I could kind of read my boys before bed, but that were mine. And I've been making up all kinds of nonsense since they were born. But one night I made up this particular story and I thought, oh, you know what? That's not too bad. So I went downstairs and wrote it out. And the idea behind it is that it's this normal boy and this normal girl. And then when they see something nature based that's in trouble, they open their bag or they run upstairs into their cupboard, they grab their cape and they turn into Enviro Boy and Enviro Girl and they help whatever it is that's in trouble. So we've got Enviro Girl helps a hedgehog, we've got Enviro Boy saves the bees, for example. And it just shows simple, everyday things that people of any age, children included, can do to help nature on our doorsteps. Because Earth Things is very much based on farmed animals and hunted animals and poached animals and zoo animals and heavily exploited animals. And I really wanted to do something kind of wildlife based as well, because
Mhm.
sometimes when we see wildlife, it's so rare to even see wildlife these days. That's, you know, that's how dire the situation is for them, especially here in the UK. We recently found out that we're one of the most nature depleted countries in the world, which is
Wow.
devastating. Yeah, absolutely devastating. It really, really is. And it's just simple things that everyone can do to help. So they're set in like kind of a rhyming way. So something I've noticed with my boys is the books that they love the most are the ones that rhyme.
Mhm.
So it's not like a poem, but it's just like a bouncy rhymey tale and enviro girl. Da, 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 da. You can read it like that, you know. It's
Mhm.
one of those books where I'm sure once you've read it 2 or 3 times, you'll probably know it off by heart. But yeah, I can't wait to share it with everyone. I am really excited about these. It's different to what I do at the moment, but I want to kind of branch out and raise awareness for as many different things as I can. So just start ticking off the boxes and see where we go.
Mhm. That's really wonderful. I have a
Yeah.
nephew who is going to be 9 at the end of this month. When he was
Mhm.
born, my mom, she really tried to find children's books that didn't um, either kind of show kind of, children's books don't, for the most part, that we could that, and I don't have kids, so let me know if I'm misspeaking here, but most of them don't clearly show animals being exploited. It's like happy farm animals and
No.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my mom, she like made it a point to find books that if they weren't like outright like for vegan kids, and my
Mm.
brother and his family are not vegan, so they definitely were not looking for books like that.
Mm.
But but my mom's like she
Oh,
found a couple, but I think we need more. So thank you for writing
definitely.
2 more and adding
Oh,
those to
thank
the
you.
catalog for people like my mom who are looking for those books for their grandkids and for their own kids, um, so that they have something that they can feel good about reading to their kids and know that their kids are
Yeah,
learning
definitely.
something really important, that connection to nature and to the beings around us.
Yeah, 100%. Because one of those things that I notice when I teach at schools is when you ask the students like for their ideas and things and ways that we can help nature and animals and things, the ideas that these students come up with, and like the youngest that I've taught is kind of 6 7, the oldest end of school here in the UK is like kind of 16, and what they come up with is absolutely amazing,
Mm,
like things I haven't even thought of. And I just think if they act on that, like it's just say that they have that one class where they have that little idea moment and everyone's so enthusiastic about it, and then after that day they actually think, oh, might be what I want to do when I'm older, and like it could create a completely different way of life to the way that we grow up, well, certainly the way that I grew up, just so I've always loved nature. I've always loved animals, but I've been so disconnected from it. And I hate that. I
Hmm.
absolutely hate that. And it's just so exciting going into these situations and seeing young people that care about climate change. And they do. When you talk to them about it, they genuinely care. They genuinely want to help. There's not been a single student that I've taught that said, oh, that's not true,
Mm.
or oh, that's stupid, or "Well, I don't want to help that." You always have like these kind of images or projections of like surly teenagers that I've never had that experience. I've genuinely not. They've all just been like, right, let's do this. And they're
Hmm.
right, yes, let's
Yeah.
do this. Let's do that. You crack on. I've got
Right.
your, I support you 1,000,000%. I really hope they do all the things that they come up with when we do these storyboarding sessions and stuff. It's just the youth of today give me so much hope for the future. They
Mm.
really, really do. I think we're going to turn it round. I just think it needs to happen a lot quicker.
Yeah. Oh, that's really wonderful to hear. So we've got something else in common, you and me. And that is our spirituality and the way that we connect with nature and the way that we kind of tap into life. Um
Yeah.
yeah, like what do I even want to ask you here? Just so for me,
Who's
like
going first? Yeah, you go first.
yeah. For me it was
Um,
I most of my life I was a self-proclaimed atheist, and I had a real hard time with people who had a religion at all. And like my parents were born and raised Catholic. My dad went to Catholic school all the way through high school. My mom through like 8th grade and then went to like a public high school, but they were like raised in it, but it wasn't that important to them. So when they would bring us to church, like I was already so bored. And then I was like, these stories are so dumb. Mom, I've got better stories at home. Let's just go home.
um,
And like it was pretty baffling that from such a young age, I was so disconnected from it. Um, but I had always felt connected with nature. And I can't remember the first time I ever saw a pentacle, but I, like, knew in my soul that that symbol was, like, in me, but
mm,
I, like, never did anything with it. And then, in high school, friends start like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Wiccan," and they buy books, and you read the books with them, and it felt, like, truer to me than anything else I'd read, but I still had such an issue with this idea of, like, worshiping something that I never did anything with it. And I
mm,
continued to kind of be like an atheist. And then I kind of was like, well, it doesn't matter if God exists or whatever. It doesn't change my life. Like I'm a good person and I'm going to keep being a good person. So I don't really care. Um, but then when my soul cat Cookie passed away in 2020,
mm,
I was so devastated, and I knew, she was like 16. She had chronic kidney disease. It
mm,
wasn't a surprise when
mm,
her life ended, but it was still so hard, and I just could not imagine that this perfect little cat no longer existed in some way. And so I started to really think about energy and connecting in all different ways. And it brought me back to the pentacle, and it brought me back to just embracing this idea that, well, first of all, I don't have to worship anything, but I do
mm,
feel like nature and the universe as a whole is kind of a bigger thing that I can tap into instead of like
mm,
worshiping and begging or asking for help. It's more like we're a symbiotic
mm,
relationship. And so there's just a lot of gratitude and like thanking for things and
mm,
doing things that way. And I don't even know what to call myself because I do feel witchy, and I
mm,
feel like that word means something to me. And I'm comfortable when I think about being a witch,
mm,
and I just don't know Like, there's no lineage or anything that I feel connected to or whatever. So that's a long way to get to get here, but yeah, so I don't know, I read cards and I do Reiki and I, do spells and I talk to the trees and I tap into the
Mm,
energy
my love,
around
you are a
me and
witch. It's just so hard to say it though, isn't it? That word's just got such a huge stigma around it where
Yeah.
you say it and you feel stupid. It's taken me years to be able to say out loud that I'm a witch. And if you
Mm,
say it to someone that's not got an interest in spirituality or things, they instantly just have the kind of image of the old hag with the warped nose, which don't get me wrong, in 40 years, that's me. I'm going to embrace it. I'm not going to pluck my chin hairs. They're just going to grow. I'm fine with that. Shack in the woods, all good. No
yep.
problem with me at all. All the animals are welcome.
Yes.
but but there is meaning within it. And on a deeper level, I genuinely believe everything started to go wrong with this world when nature aligned people were persecuted.
Mm,
So from indigenous peoples to the witch trials, anyone that had a connection to nature, whether they spoke to animals, whether they practiced herbalism, whether they knew a certain tea would help with a cold or a flu, or they knew what flowers to pick at what time and then how to steep them and create a tincture of some sort. Those were the people that were deemed peculiar and odd or
mhm.
a witch.
Yeah,
And
dangerous.
yeah, they were burned, they were drowned. And then look at modern day societies now, huge dependence on big pharma, and look where that's got us. Imagine
Mhm,
if we'd been able to keep to our roots and we actually knew that when we don't feel well, if we ate this food or if we grew this plant and we did this and we did that, we could actually heal ourselves with everything that nature has provided for us, because nature does provide these things for us for a reason. But a lot like with veganism, it's the disconnect. It's been shoved down our throats so strongly that to believe these things is weird. It's
mhm.
strange. It's hippie. It's you need to go to the psych ward, love. You're not a witch. You've seen too many Disney movies. But you know, no,
Yeah.
you don't have to be female to be a witch. You can be male, you can be trans, you can be gender free. I mean, for me personally, my god or goddess, I believe, is gender free. I don't believe the ultimate power is a man or a woman. I think it's something that our minds can't even fathom. I mean, no one can answer the question of how we got here,
Mhm.
and that in itself is just such a stoner conversation to have. But it is just, it's the ultimate question, how did we get here? And no one can answer that question. Various religions have been created and people really genuinely believe in those. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of religions are beautiful, but there's a lot of religions that are really harmful as well. And the kind of purpose to all of them is to answer that question of how did we get here? And no one actually knows. So no one knows which one of those are right, or any
Mhm.
of them. Are any of them right? They could all be wrong. Or I think little bits of each are kind of right. But I guess that's why I found witchcraft for me. I believed in certain pathways and certain religions and spiritual paths, but I couldn't align myself with any one of them. So I kind of picked out bits from different places and
Mhm.
created my own little belief, and that for me was its own ritual. It was a form of witchcraft for me, and I love nature. Nature is my goddess. It's who I necessarily pray to, but it's who I speak with, it's who I connect with. I think when our time comes and our bodies don't work anymore, coming back to what you said, Kimberly, with energy, I believe our energy leaves our body and goes into whichever nature based thing is closest. So, whether that's a tree, whether it's an animal, it's a worm, it could be anything.
Mm.
And I think that's why I feel so disturbed by what we're doing to the natural world, because I believe that's part of us as well. I think that's our ancestors, that's we're in there. Those 500-year-old trees that are being cut down as we speak, think how many souls are in that tree,
Yeah.
like I know people are probably listening to this and thinking, oh my God, they're vegan, they think they're witches. What the hell? But when you have your spiritual awakening, you realize how that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the bizarreness of today's world where we take pills to make us healthy that actually make us sick. We eat food that has been told makes us healthy and actually gives us cancer and kills us. Like, why is that our normal? Why is that okay? Why can we do that and people just crack on with it? Yep, no, they're sane, they're fine.
Yeah.
But the people that don't do that, why are they different? Why are they strange? If people say that they're gender free, why is that? Why is that a problem? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just, oh God, I could talk about
Yeah.
so many things for such a long time, but I just think the world is just so messed up and so corrupt. And I think people should be able to be whatever they want to be, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Then just go for it, do you?
Yeah.
And, just make the most of your life in whatever way you can,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know how long we're here for. And as much as I like to think I'm going to end up in this big wavy tree, I might not. One of those other religions could be right. I might be on my way down to hell. You never know with the pitchforks. So just, whatever time we've got here, let's just make the most of it for us and for others. It's not all
Yeah.
about humans. It's about the whole picture, the whole caboodle.
Yeah. Mm. When you mentioned about how all of the, the religions, like the big question is, how did we get here? And I
Mm,
wish I know, like I get it, like humans were so curious, we want answers, we've got to know. But I wish that we could, no matter what people believe in, that they could
mm,
take that question and go, we're never going to know and it's okay. But how can we live like honestly and kindly and just full of compassion every day forward? Let's forget
mm,
about what got us here. We're here now and we
yeah,
are destroying so many things. How can we turn that around? And where
mm,
within us is that kindness that every religion speaks to? Um,
mm,
and where can we act like be that when we show up
mm.
every day in our lives? I'd like to see people ask that question more than how did we get here?
Yeah. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people are, and that's what gives me hope. I
Mhm.
do. I think a lot of people are. But I also think, I was going to say they, but I'm one of them. So no, we. We are then the people that are branded as the oddballs, a bit peculiar, the hippies, what's the new term that everyone hates? Woke, the woke people. Well, I'm very proud to be woke. I have no
Me
issues
too.
with being woke
Yeah, I know.
whatsoever.
Same.
I'm as woke as they come, and it's absolutely fine. But that terminology in itself, though, that actually came from people that were aware of racial prejudice from
Mhm.
however many years ago. So how a term which needed to be a term which needed to be known about has now been turned into something negative as well. Like, again, it just shows the corruption within society. That shouldn't be okay. That ever happened. And
Right.
we're strange creatures as humans.
We
We
are.
really, really are. Yeah.
So
I really hope
complicated.
I come back as a tree. It's just until a human comes along and cuts me down,
Right.
life is just going to be so much easier. It's
Just swaying
just,
in the
yeah,
breeze.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm all for that. I really, really am. Uh,
That does sound lovely.
truly.
Yeah. Oh, right. This conversation has just been wonderful. I love all the places that we've gone and how much we've shared of ourselves together. It's
Mm,
just been really, really beautiful. Thank you.
thank
Um,
you. It's nice
my
just to talk freely sometimes,
Yeah.
isn't it? Without fear of being judged, and that in itself is just a journey. It's all of it.
Mhm.
All of it is just it's just one big long journey, and I'm here
Yeah,
for all of it. Loving it.
me too. Yeah, so good. So I've got one more question for you. Let's
Far
talk
away.
about hummus. either your favorite hummus, your favorite way to eat hummus. Mine is by the spoon, spoiler alert.
Oh,
Um, so tell me about you.
okay. My favorite hummus is actually just a plain hummus, and I like it spread on toast with two pieces. I'm very particular. Two pieces of toast with slatherings of hummus on top, and one side has a cut up beetroot on top, and the other side grilled vegetables of some sort. So whether it's
Mm.
asparagus or broccoli, and then just oh yeah, just dig into that with a new topping that I found that is delicious. So if you with a pestle and mortar, if you grind down nutritional yeast, so a bit
Mhm.
of nooch, with some cashews and some salt and pepper until it becomes like a crumbly mixture, and just like sprinkle it on top. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. And
that
that
sounds
the crumbly
lovely.
mixture can go on anything, and it's so good.
Mm. Thank you.
It's you're welcome. It's like midnight here in the UK, and now you've made me hungry.
Oh.
How dare you? I'm gonna go be a junk food vegan. Although that's actually quite healthy.
Yeah,
It's quite
for
healthy.
sure.
But
Oh,
yeah,
and
just
so
not at
good.
midnight before we go to sleep.
I could
Oh,
live on some toast with hummus and some veggies. And the
mm,
nice thing is that like you can mix it up. It doesn't matter what vegetables you have on hand. They go
totally.
they go perfectly with hummus if you ask me. Um
Mm.
I've never met a vegetable that didn't go well with hummus.
Yeah, that's very true. I can't stand celery. There's very few foods that I don't like, but the food that I dislike the most, which is celery,
Mhm.
put oodles of hummus on it. Celery's lovely.
Yeah, see?
It fixes
Fixes
that, yeah.
everything.
Fixes that problem. Oh,
Ray, thank you. I really am so grateful that we were able to connect today. And thank you for staying up late so that we could have this
thank you for
talk.
having me. Thank you for having me. And sorry if I've whispered through any of it. I'm just very aware that everyone else is asleep and I'm awake. But thank you for having me. It's been lovely chatting. Really, really lovely.
Absolutely. Welcome back. I have to say, I'm really thankful for this conversation with Ray. I have not been so open and frank, I guess, about really my spirituality and what it looks like today. So I appreciate her pulling that out of me, even though it didn't even seem like she had to try that hard. She created a safe space for us to have a great conversation. I hope I did the same for her. What inspired you most about Ray's story? Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook page and find the image from this podcast episode and let us know. To connect with Ray, visit her website, raystarbooks.com, and you can find her on all social medias like Insta, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and whatever else is out there at Raystar Books. I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're loving it, please give Did You Bring the Hummus a 5-star rating and leave a review. It's an easy way to keep supporting the show. Be sure to share these episodes with your friends. If you're finding something good here, they will too. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Did You Bring the Hummus, and visit my website, didyouBringTheHummus.com, for more information about me, updates on what I'm working on, new podcast episodes, and all things vegan. Finally, I would love to hear from you. What do you need help with? Is there a topic you want to hear covered on a future episode? DM me on Instagram or send me an email at didyouBringTheHummus@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.